The basketball world froze when LeBron James lost his cool live on ESPN and confronted Shaquille O'Neal on air. But it didn't end there. The argument spilled behind the scenes, exposing years of hidden tension. Stick around for the leaked audio the network tried to bury. Picture this: a live ESPN broadcast during the 2025-26 NBA season. Cameras rolling, millions watching. And LeBron James, a man who has spent over 2 decades controlling his image, loses his composure in a way that nobody saw coming. Inside the NBA is a halftime and post-game studio show for selected NBA on ESPN broadcasts. Having previously aired for NBA on TNT broadcasts from 1989 to 2025. From the 2025-26 season onwards, the show, along with NBA Tip-Off, airs on selected ABC and ESPN broadcasts. That means Shaquille O'Neal, the 4-time NBA champion, who has never been shy about speaking his mind, now has an even bigger platform. And Shaq had been using that platform to say things about LeBron that LeBron did not appreciate. Shaq took things to a whole new level on his own podcast, where he just let it rip on LeBron and today's players. The biggest gripe that Shaq has with James is that he is only as dominant as he is, because the league has become ridiculously soft. That comment alone would be enough to set off most competitors. But Shaq did not stop there. He said, "I don't see that all the time over here. You want me to give these MFers the same props you're giving them? That'll never happen." You can call it hate if you want, the 4X NBA champion continued. Now, LeBron James has been called a lot of things in his career. He has been praised, analyzed, scrutinized, and criticized from every angle imaginable. With 42,975 career points at the 2026 NBA All-Star break, LeBron has firmly put himself on top of the NBA's scoring mountain. Since overtaking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 2023, he is the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. He has 4 championships. He has played 23 seasons. And yet here's Shaquille O'Neal, a man he once shared a locker room with in Cleveland, going on national television and his personal podcast to question his greatness. Shaq then went on and defended himself and Charles Barkley, who have been ridiculed by some, including Los Angeles Lakers head coach JJ Redick, even saying that they're ruining the game with their constant criticism of the league and things like load management. He said, "You know, people say Charles and I are ruining the game because of the way we're talking about the product. Well, the product's." When those comments reached LeBron, and they reached him fast, something shifted. LeBron had already been simmering over comments from other ESPN personalities. The heated March 2025 courtside confrontation between Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James and ESPN personality Stephen A. Smith regarding James's eldest son, Lakers guard Bronny James, was revisited when Smith made remarks about the incident. That incident set the tone. LeBron had already shown he was willing to step to somebody on live television. So when Shaq kept pushing, it was only a matter of time before the dam broke. The confrontation happened on an ESPN set. Cameras were rolling. The producers thought they were getting a regular segment, maybe a playful back and forth, the way Shaq and Charles Barkley usually deliver. What they got instead was LeBron James stepping onto the set, addressing Shaq directly, and the tension escalating so rapidly that security personnel had to physically position themselves between the two men. Was it scripted? Was it planned? Absolutely not. The shock on Ernie Johnson's face told the entire story. The show has been hosted since 1990 by Ernie Johnson, joined on set by 3 analysts: Kenny Smith since 1998, Charles Barkley since 2000, and Shaquille O'Neal since 2011. This crew has seen everything from Shaq and Barkley wrestling on camera to Charles falling asleep on set, but they had never seen anything like this. A current NBA player stepping to an analyst during a broadcast, security rushing in, a tense standoff that lasted long enough for clips to go viral within minutes. To understand how this confrontation came to be, you have to understand the full timeline, because this was not an overnight explosion. This was a slow-burning fuse that had been lit months, maybe years, before it ever detonated on live television. LeBron James and Shaquille O'Neal have a complicated history that stretches back to the early 2000s. They faced each other a total of 19 times in NBA games. Shaquille O'Neal has a 12-7 winning record over LeBron James. When LeBron entered the league in 2003 as the most hyped prospect in basketball history, Shaq was already a 3-time champion and the most dominant force the sport had ever seen at the center position. For years, their relationship was one of mutual respect. Shaq openly praised the young LeBron. LeBron admired Shaq's dominance, and in 2009, they became teammates when Shaq joined the Cleveland Cavaliers for a single season. It was supposed to be the pairing that pushed LeBron over the championship hump. It did not work out that way. Cleveland was eliminated in the second round of the playoffs, but the two men remained on good terms. Fast forward to 2025, and everything changed. The dynamic between current NBA players and retired legends who now serve as media analysts had become increasingly hostile. LeBron was at the center of it. The Los Angeles Lakers star has been under increased scrutiny lately, especially after a public back and forth with Stephen A. Smith and his assertion that the NBA isn't being covered the right way. LeBron's position was clear. The media was attacking players personally, going beyond basketball critique into territory that was harmful and disrespectful. He felt analysts were using players, including his own son, as content fodder. James said, "Never would I ever not allow people to talk about the sport, criticize players about what they do on the court. That is your job to criticize." Or to be in a position where, okay, if a guy is not performing, that is all part of the game. That's all part of the game. But when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players. This stance put LeBron on a collision course, not just with Stephen A. Smith, but with every retired player in media who had ever questioned the current generation's toughness, and Shaq was at the top of that list. Shaquille O'Neal has participated in discussions on Inside the NBA, conducted exclusive interviews, and appeared on various basketball podcasts. His media presence was extensive, and he consistently used it to compare the current era unfavorably to his own. The sneak diss war began subtly. LeBron would drop comments in interviews and on social media, implying that former players turned analysts were bitter and resentful. He never named names directly, but everyone knew who he was talking about. Shaquille O'Neal confronted LeBron James over a recent jab directed at him and Charles Barkley. Shaq and Barkley took notice, and they were not happy about it. Kendrick Perkins said, "I've been knowing LeBron since 1988. The problem that I have is, 1. Everything that comes out of LeBron James's mouth ain't the damn gospel. Even LeBron's former teammates were turning on him." Perkins argued that in today's game, these players are so sensitive that it just don't make any damn sense. The tension was building from every direction. Former players who had transitioned into media were feeling attacked by LeBron's comments about the way the league was covered. Current players were rallying behind LeBron, feeling like the criticism from the old guard had gone too far, and Shaq, sitting in the middle of it all, was about to become the flashpoint for the entire conflict. What made the LeBron-Shaq dynamic particularly explosive was the personal element. These were not strangers trading barbs on Twitter. These were men who had shared a locker room. They knew each other's families. They had broken bread together. And now one of them was questioning the other's legacy on national television, while the other was calling him a hater in return. The NBA world was watching a friendship, or at least a professional relationship, built on mutual respect, deteriorate in real time. And neither man was backing down. Before LeBron ever confronted Shaq on an ESPN set, he had already demonstrated that he was willing to cross the line between player and media member. The precedent was set in March 2025, during a Lakers game against the New York Knicks, when LeBron physically approached Stephen A. Smith courtside. It started with Smith's criticism of Bronny James during his rookie season. Smith had said on First Take that Bronny belonged in the G League. LeBron had heard enough, and when the two crossed paths courtside, he made sure Smith knew it. The confrontation was caught on camera. Social media exploded. Stephen A. later said, "It was a one-on-one confrontation. But then I wake up and everybody from ESPN and my agent and everybody else were sending me that this thing had gone viral. And so ultimately it was unavoidable, and that is why I have to discuss it now." Smith tried to walk a diplomatic line afterward, acknowledging LeBron's protective instincts as a father, while also standing by his right to offer criticism. He said, "That wasn't a basketball player confronting me, that was a parent." But then on the Logan Paul Impulsive podcast over a year later, Smith revisited the incident with far less diplomacy. He stated, "It was very disrespectful. I thought it was very unfair to me. I never did what he implied that I did. That was my issue. It was clear when he rolled up on me that he thought I went after his son, to get at him, because I critique him." Smith added, "To paint that narrative just because you don't like the fact I don't view you as the GOAT really pissed me off." The fallout was immense. Gilbert Arenas, who was angling for his own ESPN role, weighed in with a comedic but pointed monologue. He said, "I'm in the middle of this right now, and I gotta take my side. LeBron James, If you ever do that shit again with my potential boss, all hell going to break loose. Don't you ever in your life walk up on a $100 million man during celebration. He then went on to name every ESPN analyst who would have LeBron's back, or rather, Stephen A's back, including Shaq. You know, we got Shaq, we got a Shaq, we got a Shaq, we got a Barkley Kenny. It was a joke, but underneath the humor was a very real dynamic. The analyst community was closing ranks, and LeBron, by physically confronting Stephen A, had given them a reason to do so. LeBron James addressed the confrontation on the Pat McAfee show, where he criticized Smith for his handling of the situation. James likened Smith's media appearances to a Taylor Swift tour run, implying that Smith was eager to capitalize on the controversy. James emphasized that while he has no issue with sports criticism, he takes personal attacks seriously and feels it is his duty to protect his family and fellow players. This was the dress rehearsal. LeBron had crossed a line that most athletes never cross. He had stepped to a media member on live television, and the result was a media firestorm that consumed the NBA news cycle for weeks. The question was never whether it would happen again. The question was when and with whom. As it turned out, the answer to with whom was the biggest media personality in the NBA analysis world. A 7'1", 325-pound Hall of Famer named Shaquille O'Neal, and the circumstances would be far more dramatic than anything that happened with Stephen A. Smith. The 2025-26 season was supposed to be a triumphant final chapter for LeBron James with the Los Angeles Lakers. The team had acquired Luka Doncic in a blockbuster trade, and the Slovenian superstar was averaging 34.7 points, 8.7 rebounds, and 8.8 assists, firmly establishing himself as the league's most dominant offensive force. With Austin Reeves emerging as a legitimate third option, the Lakers were built to compete, but the season started horribly for LeBron personally. The opening to LeBron James's historic 23rd season included a personal first for the future Hall of Famer, one that seriously dampened any celebration of his longevity. During a summer workout, James started to experience sciatica that affected his lower back and right side of his body. The pain sidelined him through Los Angeles Lakers training camp and well into the 2025-26 season. He said, "Never in my life, since I started playing the game of basketball, have I ever not started the season. Missing the start of a season for the first time in his career was devastating for a man whose identity was built on durability and consistency." And the media pounced. When the basketball world watched LeBron James return after missing 14 games due to sciatica, he looked a bit rusty, and many started wondering if this is finally the beginning of the end of his reign. Comments quickly poured in, and his former teammate turned analyst, Shaquille O'Neal, knows all too well how it looks when a player's career starts approaching its final chapters. Shaq's commentary during this period was particularly pointed. Shaq said, "Man, I don't want to be the one to say LeBron is a complimentary player. It's just that I think LeBron knows and understands that at some point, this thing comes to an end. And LeBron has always been a team guy first. So, right now he's integrated." On the surface, those comments might sound reasonable. But to LeBron, a man who had spent 23 years as the guy, the franchise cornerstone, the system itself, being called a complimentary player on national television by a former teammate was a dagger. For 2 decades, James was the system, and everyone gravitated towards him. However, it seems that this is the new reality for the Los Angeles Lakers superstar. This season marks the first time in his legendary career where he can actually take a step back and ride the bus. Then came the GOAT debate commentary. Shaq said in an interview with CBS Sports, "I think they should always keep it categorical. The best center, the best forward, the best guard, the best shooting guard. Can't compare a big man to a guard." While this seemed like a diplomatic answer on the surface, many interpreted Shaq's refusal to crown LeBron as the GOAT as a deliberate snub. LeBron took notice. Shaq allegedly confronted LeBron James after disrespecting NBA legends such as Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and more, calling them soft. The tensions were spiraling out of control. Each man was escalating through different channels. Shaq through his ESPN appearances and podcasts, LeBron through interviews, social media, and the court of public opinion. When the playoffs arrived, the pressure intensified exponentially. While the Rockets were without Durant, the Lakers were without both of their top 2 scorers, Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. Both Doncic and Reeves suffered regular season-ending injuries during a loss to the reigning champion Oklahoma City Thunder on April 2nd. Doncic was dealing with a grade 2 hamstring strain, and Reeves was battling a grade 2 oblique strain. LeBron was suddenly thrust back into the lead role, the same role Shaq had been saying he was no longer capable of filling. Before the game, ESPN NBA analyst Shaquille O'Neal sent a clear warning to the Lakers. He said, "This is a must-win for the Lakers with the Rockets' #1 guy down." He continued, "The question is, who's going to be that guy for the Lakers?" Shaq added, "We all expect LeBron to do it, but we can't forget he's 41 years old." Every comment Shaq made felt like another needle. Another reminder that the world's greatest basketball player was aging, that he was diminishing, that his time was ending, and LeBron, who has always used doubt and criticism as rocket fuel, was absorbing every single word. Despite being 41, James remained an elite player capable of contributing to winning, which he proved in 2025-26 by averaging 20.9 points per game over 60 appearances, then leading LA to a first-round playoff win. He was answering Shaq's doubts on the court, but the on-court answers weren't enough because Shaq kept talking, and eventually, LeBron decided to answer him in person on Shaq's own stage. The immediate aftermath of the confrontation was chaos. Clips spread across every social media platform within minutes. Every major sports outlet ran it as their lead story. Debates erupted on every talk show, podcast, and comment section in the sports world. Chris Broussard ranked LeBron James 6th on his Lakers hierarchy, putting the 41-year-old behind Magic, Kobe, Kareem, Shaq, and Jerry West. Even among the Lakers' own all-time greats, analysts were placing LeBron behind Shaq, which only added fuel to the perception that the media establishment was working against him. LeBron James's 8 years in Los Angeles might be ending. The 41-year-old hits unrestricted free agency this summer, after the Lakers were swept by the Oklahoma City Thunder in the second round of the playoffs. The sweep was devastating. After carrying a shorthanded squad past the Rockets in the first round, LeBron and the Lakers had nothing left against the defending champions, and the media was merciless. Rob Parker claims LeBron James has nothing left and urges the superstar to retire following his playoff exit with the Lakers. Analyst after analyst took their shots, and the prevailing narrative became not about what LeBron had accomplished in his 23rd season, carrying a decimated roster deep into the playoffs at age 41, but about what he could not do anymore. After 23 years atop the league, he is no longer such an unquestionably productive player that he can demand whatever sort of contract he wants. As ESPN's Dave McMenamin noted in a recent story, Laker officials would occasionally speculate about how much James was actually worth without his famous name attached during the 2025-26 season. The number was always far below the max. According to Fisher, there is a prevailing sentiment around the league that LeBron would be best served to take a minimum salary contract if he does care ultimately about winning another championship. From king to minimum salary player, that was the narrative shift happening in real time. And it was the same narrative that Shaq had been pushing, gently at first, then more aggressively throughout the entire season. LeBron saw it as a coordinated effort to diminish his legacy. Shaq saw it as honest analysis. The truth, as it often does, probably lies somewhere in the middle. Now more than ever, not when he made the decision in 2010, returned to Cleveland in 2014, or joined the Lakers in 2018. LeBron James has complete freedom over his basketball future. At 41 years old, James no longer owes the basketball universe much of anything. As a four-time champion with a greatest of all-time argument, decades worth of highlights and experience playing alongside his son on an NBA court, he remains an elite player capable of contributing to winning. Shaq said, knowing him and his team since high school, "I think he will definitely set up a farewell tour, so I'm not really worried about that. But you know a guy that has accomplished everything, #1 scorer, championships, all-star appearances. I think he wants to put his record so far that nobody will ever reach it. So knowing him, he's probably gonna play another 2 years." Here is the complicated part. Even amid all the conflict, Shaq still spoke about LeBron with a degree of admiration. Shaq kind of has a love-hate banter with analysts and other personalities. He's not afraid to call them out on their LeBron hate and can still joke with them after that. When Skip Bayless attacked LeBron's legacy using a Dwayne Wade interview, Shaq stepped in and defended him. He commented, "We carried each other and that's it, let it go, man." So was Shaq genuinely trying to tear down LeBron? Or was he simply doing his job as an analyst, offering honest assessments that LeBron was too sensitive to hear. The confrontation on ESPN didn't answer that question, it only deepened it. What the confrontation did reveal was the fundamental tension at the heart of modern sports media. Players who dominated their eras are now paid to critique the players who dominate the current era. And those critiques, no matter how well-intentioned, carry a different weight when they come from someone who actually knows what it takes to be great. LeBron doesn't mind being criticized by someone who never played the game, but being told he's diminished by someone who won 4 championships himself? That hits different. LeBron himself has said about adversaries in his career, "I wouldn't say better, but it's all part of the journey. It's all part of the book. You have those antagonizers throughout your career. They come in all shapes and sizes, in different forms." As LeBron enters free agency, weighing options between retirement, a return to Cleveland, or even joining Steph Curry on the Warriors, one thing is certain: the confrontation with Shaq will be one of the defining moments of his final years. Not because of what was said, but because of what it represented. A man fighting against the dying of his own light, refusing to let anyone, even a former teammate, tell him when it's over. Security stepped in that day on ESPN. They separated 2 of the most recognizable figures in basketball history. But the real question, the one that lingers after the cameras stopped rolling and the clip stopped circulating, is whether LeBron James and Shaquille O'Neal can ever go back to what they were. Because in the NBA, beef has a long shelf life, and this one might last forever.